Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned earlier about Swanee and the other guy, But here's the question, the athletic director. So you bring Mike Bonin, makes a great choice bringing in but one thing that Mike gave tools, he also gave the same tools to Helton. Helton chose not to use them, I'm guessing, and Riley did. The current regime now, how well are they going to provide tools to Riley, and how, most importantly, how are they going to support him and football?
Well, I mean that's probably out of the jurisdiction of this talk. Not because I don't not because I don't want to talk about it, but because I don't know who the next AD is going to be. Right? I mean I'm not sure if we're closer or anything you're hearing on that front.
No, I mean I can do something.
Or you go.
So like no athletic director right now, but you saw that USC's actually made some moves and announced new developments. I think the facilities are a huge deal for USC. That's something when Lincoln Riley got hired, it was something very important to him. He wanted to make sure NIL was fixed, and we're going to talk about that next, and also the facilities. For Mike Bone in general, like, I don't know, when he got hired, I was like, he could be good, he could be great, he could be amazing, I don't know, but he's going to be significantly better than what USC had. And all I can say is USC's athletic department is in a much better place now than it was in 2019 when he was hired. So I think that he's given Lincoln Riley, and the athletic department's given Lincoln Riley what he needs, and they're going to keep doing that going forward. I'm sure they're going to hire somebody good, but they just needed like a competent leader. They didn't have that it's been decades since they hired someone that wasn't a former football player, no offense, but that's just what they haven't done. So getting someone from the outside that was just, this guy was an athletic director before in a Power 5, they never did that, I mean, for 30 years. So it was good that they did it. I think Mike Bone made things better. They're going to get somebody else now, and it'll be fine. But I feel like they're in a much better spot. The scandal and everything is more, for me, about more of the Mike Bone thing than the USC thing. The important part is the athletic department is in a way better spot. People that would have said no if you got a call in 2019 from USC will say yes in 2023. So I think that's the most important part.
And I would just add to that, I agree. I mean, I've been on the athletics board of counselors for, 10 plus years. I think that, I don't want to get too negative on where we were, but there's a lot to be desired previous. I think that, Bone, again, regardless of under the circumstances as to how he left, brought in Lincoln Riley, right? He was responsible, for bringing in Coach Riley. I think that the resources are going to be there because I think that the Board of Trustees and the President of the University know how significant it increases fundraising, it increases awareness when USC football is at the top. I think that they're well aware as to what the economics mean with that. And, when you take a look at the two things that happened, right, that all of us, I think, were taken by surprise. It's certainly hard to keep a lid on things today, keeping things on the down low. When Lincoln Riley got hired, I was at my kid's baseball game, and somebody started talking about Lincoln Riley. I was like, no shot, no way. He's not coming. I just didn't think he would want to leave Oklahoma and kind of be in there for 5 years to come out here. So I was surprised that was one. The second one, I was flying back from business in Boston, and there started being some rumblings. This is last year, about this time last year, probably a little June probably, but started talking about SC to the Big Ten, I just said, wow, that's a pipe dream. I just said, look, I don't think that's going to happen. I said, in theory, man, that sounds pretty good, a lot more money, that type of thing. By the time I landed, got back to my house, and got the official letter from Foley saying that hey, if the deal's been inked, the whole deal. Those are monumental shifts for USC and for college football. I mean, monumental. I didn't know, and my buddy Steve over here, he and I had a lot of conversations about it. I was not really sure how committed USC leadership was to having USC football being nationally relevant again and being back on the map. That was something I was not clear about. As a board member and as a former player, I was not sure. When they made that hire and made that happen, I knew that there was a commitment that basically helped me kind of get get over the hump on that. And when you take a look at the money involved, you know, we all know Larry Scott made a bad bet on the Pac-12 network, right? I mean, that's something that, you know, obviously he had nice offices up in San Francisco. We all know about his deal. But he made a bad bet that we all suffered through. USC and UCLA have been responsible for 40% of the revenue in the conference for the last 10 years, right? And sharing it equally with all of the other schools, including up in Pullman, Colorado, who's now leaving. You know, lots of things from that standpoint. But something had to change, right? And I kind of look at it like people ask me all the time, like traditionalists say, well, what do you think about that? I mean, I think, you know, you look at McKay and Woody Hayes, they're probably rolling over their grave that they're, you know, in the same conference right now. But I think that it was inevitable, right? You're either gonna get on the bus and get rolling, or you're gonna get left at the station. And who knows what's gonna happen to Pac-12 now, especially with Colorado jumping ship, and that's official. I mean, there's a lot of stuff involved. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
If you're done, if you're done.
I'll do one more.
Coach Riley's done a great job with the transfer portal. I think the high school recruiting has been good, not great. Under Pete, we kept all the local guys home. Do you think some of these local kids from high schools are kind of on the fence, seeing if we're going to compete for a national championship and then we're going to start getting these guys that we're not getting? And also, what about NIL? Can we compete with the elites with the NIL?
That's
My man Spencer's going to tell us all about that. You plugged in on the NIL, so more to follow. But I'll answer the first part from my perspective. You know, obviously when you go to USC, every player there, when I was playing or even today, they're the best player from their community, if not from the state, the best in the country, right? He's the best of the best, right, coming to SC. It's such a different landscape now, though, right, with TV contracts where you're playing, time zones, you know, all of those types of things. It's so national now. I remember Pete and having conversations directly with him, just saying, hey, Shane, look, we want to control Southern California. You know, we want to be 90+% on a ratio of keeping guys home, drawing a line around it. So they were getting guys in the trenches, you know, keeping guys home, guys from Mater Dei and from Bosco and the other powerhouse schools weren't going to Ohio State back then. Very, very few of them were going, right? It was a big deal when Black Mamba went up to Oregon, right? Because we didn't lose that many guys at that time. And I think that he just said, I heard him on the radio, you know, before I was even on his board, talking about, this is Pete now, saying early in his tenure, he just said, look, when I was in the NFL, if we do well or pretty well, either way we get one pick. We get one #1 pick, right? And it could be first if we're terrible, you know, in the pros, or it could be 31st, right? If we win the Super Bowl. But I only get one. If I build this thing out the right way, like I think I can, I think we can build it to the point where we're going to have 9 or 10 #1 picks, future #1 picks, right? But if you build it, he will come, right? That was the thought. And also it gave him the ability, when he established that dominance, to be able to go out and get Brian Cushing from Bergen Catholic in New Jersey, right? Away from Notre Dame, Penn State, Boston College. You know, he went in and got Big Mike Williams away from Florida State, you know, in Miami, right? You started getting those types of guys based on the strength. Dwayne Jarrett from New Jersey. You started getting guys nationally to come and be part of this powerhouse program. I think that's obviously supercharged now with transfer portal, NIL, all the things that we're going to hear in a minute. But it's all stirred by the performance of what we do on the field, right? We've got to win on the field and dominate on the gridiron to have people say, hey, I want to be part of this special resurgence, this thing that's happening at USC. So I think that's the difference. Is it's just there's no Southern California mindset. It's like, hey, let's get the top guys. You know, if there's 10 guys in Southern California we're going after, let's go after those guys. But who are the other top guys in all the other states in the country? It's just a much different mindset than it was 20 years ago, 25 years ago. So